You are standing in line at the bank. The woman in front of you is wearing a tailored coat. The teller smiles at her immediately. You step forward wearing yesterday's jacket. The smile disappears. The questions begin. The suspicion thickens. You have done nothing wrong, but you're already guilty. This is the tax of appearing weak. The world does not wait for your explanation. It judges you in 3 seconds and moves on. When you look poor, you do not just lack money. You lack permission to exist without resistance. Every door is heavier. Every conversation is a test. Every transaction becomes an interrogation. The system does not care about your character. It cares about the signals you send. And if those signals say weakness, the world will treat you accordingly. Appearance is not vanity, it is armor. The man who looks defeated will be defeated before he opens his mouth. This is not about fairness. This is about survival in a world that operates on perception before truth. You can be intelligent, disciplined, and strategic, but if you wear the costume of failure, you will be cast in that role. The powerful understand this. They dress for the position they want, not the one they have. They know that credibility is granted to those who look like they already possess it. The poor man is doubted. The well-dressed man is believed. Same words, different uniform, different outcome. When you look poor, people assume incompetence. They assume desperation. They assume you have no options. And when they sense you have no options, they give you none. The landlord raises the rent. The employer lowers the offer. The merchant refuses the return. You are not being punished for poverty. You are being punished for looking like you cannot fight back. This is the invisible violence of social hierarchy. It does not announce itself. It simply closes doors before you reach them. If you have ever noticed that wealthier people get better service, better treatment, better patience, you are not imagining it. You're observing the mechanics of power. The world respects what it fears losing. If you look like you have nothing, the world assumes it has nothing to lose by mistreating you. But if you look like you could take your business elsewhere, suddenly the tone softens. Suddenly there is flexibility. This is not kindness. This is calculation. People do not serve the weak. They serve those who might punish them for poor service. This is why appearance is not superficial. It is strategic. It is the first line of negotiation. Before you say a word, your clothes, your posture, your grooming have already spoken. And if they said, "I am struggling, the world heard, you can ignore me." Many people reject this truth because it feels unjust. They believe that integrity should be enough. That hard work should speak for itself. But integrity is invisible. Hard work is silent. The world does not read your resume before deciding whether to respect you. It reads your presentation. And if your presentation says, "I am at the bottom," the world will keep you there. Not because it is cruel, because it is efficient. The system does not have time to discover your hidden value. It makes snap judgments and moves on. If you want to be treated differently, you must look different. This is not about deception. This is about controlling the narrative before someone else writes it for you. There is a reason why con artists dress well. They understand that people trust appearances more than they trust evidence. A man in a suit can lie and be believed. A man in torn jeans can tell the truth and be doubted. The con artist is not smarter. He simply knows that the first impression is the only impression most people will bother to form. Once you are categorized as weak, Every action you take is filtered through that lens. You could be confident, articulate, and correct, but if you look poor, your confidence will be read as arrogance. Your articulation will be read as trying too hard. Your correctness will be dismissed as luck. The game is rigged against those who look like they are losing. This is why poverty is a trap that extends beyond finances. It creates a visual identity that others use to justify mistreatment. You are not just poor, you are visibly poor. And that visibility becomes a target. Employers assume you are unreliable. Banks assume you are a risk. Strangers assume you are dangerous or desperate. None of these assumptions are based on who you are. They are based on what you signal. And once you signal weakness, the world organizes itself to exploit that weakness. This is not personal, this is structural. The system is designed to favor those who look like they belong at the top. If this reflection has unsettled something in you, if it has named a pattern you have felt but never articulated, then you are already beginning to see the architecture of power. Most people live inside these systems without ever recognizing them. But you are not most people. You are here because you refuse to get me to be blind. Do not let this be the last time you open your eyes. Subscribe. Not because I need you to, because you need to remember that you made the choice to see clearly. The intelligent response is not to complain about this reality. The intelligent response is to manipulate it. If the world judges you by appearance, then appearance becomes your weapon. You do not need wealth to look composed. You need discipline. You do not need luxury to look intentional. You need order. A clean appearance costs almost nothing. Pressed clothes, trimmed hair, upright posture, steady eye contact. These are not expensive. These are choices. And they change how every single interaction unfolds. When you look like you respect yourself, others respect you. Not because they are kind, because they assume you will not tolerate disrespect. The world is a mirror. If you present yourself as defeated, the world will treat you as defeated. If you present yourself as someone who expects to be taken seriously, most people will comply. Not all, but most. And that shift in probability is everything. It is the difference between being offered the baseline and being offered the upgrade. Between being questioned and being trusted. Between being an afterthought and being remembered. This is not about pretending to be rich. This is about refusing to look weak. Weakness invites predation. Strength invites caution. You do not need to signal wealth. You need to signal that you are not an easy target. Predators, whether in business or in social settings, scan for vulnerability. They look for hesitation, for apology, for signs that you do not believe in your own worth. When you eliminate those signals, you eliminate a percentage of the attacks before they begin. This is not paranoia. This is pattern recognition. Silence is the first shield. When someone disrespects you, the instinct is to defend yourself immediately, to explain, to justify, to prove your worth. This is a mistake. The moment you defend, you have accepted the frame that you are on trial. You have agreed that their judgment matters. The intelligent move is to say nothing. Let the silence sit. Let them feel the weight of their own words. Most people cannot handle silence. They will backtrack. They will soften. They will reveal that they were testing you, not condemning you. Silence forces them to confront the possibility that you are not bothered. And if you are not bothered, they lose power Patience is the second weapon. When someone tries to provoke you, they want a reaction. They want you to lose control, to make a mistake, to give them ammunition. If you react immediately, you hand them that ammunition. But if you wait, if you let time pass, their provocation loses energy. Hours later, days later, when they have forgotten the insult, you can respond with precision. You can choose the moment. You can choose the battlefield. This is not weakness. This is strategy. The person who controls the timing controls the outcome. Timing is everything in power. A response given too early is emotional. A response given too late is irrelevant. But a response given at the exact moment when your opponent is off balance, that is devastation. This requires observation. You must watch how people move. You must learn when they are confident and when they are vulnerable. And then you strike when they are vulnerable, not out of cruelty, out of efficiency. If you are going to act, act when it matters. Most people waste their energy fighting battles that do not need to be fought. The intelligent fighter waits until the opponent is already falling and then gives one push. Non-reaction is the ultimate dominance. When someone insults you and you do not flinch, you have communicated something more powerful than any comeback. You have communicated that they do not matter, that their opinion is beneath your concern. This breaks people, because most aggression is rooted in the need for acknowledgement. The bully wants you to fear him. The critic wants you to defend yourself. The manipulator wants you to feel guilty. When you give them nothing, when you simply continue as if they do not exist, they are forced to confront their own irrelevance. This is not cruelty. This is clarity. You're teaching them that they do not have access to your emotions. Detachment is the fifth strategy. You must learn as to observe conflict without being inside it. Most people are emotionally tangled in every interaction. Someone raises their voice and their heartbeat spikes. Someone questions their competence and they spiral. This is weakness. The moment you are emotionally invested in someone's opinion, you've given them control over your state. Detachment does not mean apathy. It means operating from a place where your internal stability is not dependent on external validation. You can hear criticism, process it for useful information, and discard the rest without suffering. This is not taught in schools. This is learned through pain. Strategic withdrawal is the sixth tool. Not every battle is worth fighting. Some conflicts are designed to drain you. Some people provoke you because they know they cannot defeat you directly, so they try to exhaust you with endless friction. The intelligent move is to withdraw, not because you're afraid, because you have calculated that engagement costs more than it gains. This is not cowardice. This is resource management. The general who refuses a bad battlefield does not lose. He simply waits for a better one. Most people do not understand this. They think withdrawal is surrender, but withdrawal is preservation. It is refusing to play a game that is rigged against you. These strategies require something most people do not have. Emotional discipline. The ability to feel anger and not act on it. The ability to feel fear and not show it. The ability to feel pride and not need external proof of it. This is the gap between the reactive and the powerful. The reactive person is a puppet. Every insult pulls a string. Every compliment inflates them. Every setback crushes them. They are not in control. They are a weather vane spinning with every gust. The powerful person is still, not because they do not feel, because they have trained themselves to feel without being moved. This training is not optional if you want to rise. The world will test you constantly. It will insult you to see if you are weak. It will flatter you to see if you are vain. It will threaten you to see if you are afraid. If you respond predictably, you are controllable. If you are controllable, you are a tool. Tools do not rise. Tools are used. The only way to escape being used is to become unreadable, to respond in ways that do not fit the script, to make people uncertain about what will happen if they push you. Uncertainty is respect. Certainty is contempt. At 12 minutes into this reflection, you are halfway through. If you are still here, you are not consuming content. You are absorbing a framework. Most people will hear these words and forget them by tomorrow. They will return to their patterns. They will continue to react emotionally. They will continue to signal weakness. And they will continue to be treated accordingly. But you have a choice. You can close this video and pretend the world is fair. Or you can accept the truth and begin the work of controlling how the world sees you. If you choose the latter, subscribe. Not because I asked, because you recognize that this is the beginning of something you cannot afford to lose. The cost of emotional reaction is always higher than the satisfaction it provides. When someone disrespects you and you lash out, you feel vindicated for approximately 30 seconds. Then reality sets in. You have revealed your weakness. You have shown that you can be baited. You have handed your opponent a map to your emotional triggers, and they will use that map again. Every time you react emotionally, you're training the world to manipulate you. You are teaching people that if they want to control you, all they need to do is provoke you. This is why the calm person wins, not because they are stronger, because they are untrainable. Anger is a confession. It says, "You got to me, you matter." Pride is a confession. It says, "I need you to think I am impressive." Fear is a confession. It says, "You have power over me." Every emotional reaction is a transfer of power. You are handing control of your internal state to an external source. This is suicide in slow motion. Because once people know they can affect you, they will do it for sport. Not out of malice, out of boredom, out of curiosity, out of the basic human instinct to test boundaries. If your boundaries are emotional, they are not boundaries, they are invitations. The person who loses their temper loses the negotiation. The person who becomes defensive loses the argument. The person who seeks approval loses the respect. These are not opinions. These are patterns observed across thousands of years of human interaction. Machiavelli understood this. So did Sun Tzu. So did every ruler who stayed in power longer than a single generation. They understood that emotional reactions are predictable. And what is predictable is exploitable. If you want to be unexploitable, you must become unpredictable. Not erratic, controlled. You must be the person who smiles when insulted, who stays silent when accused, who walks away when provoked. This confuses people. And confusion creates space. Space creates time. Time creates options. Options create power. Most people die without ever realizing they gave their power away. They spent their entire lives reacting, defending, justifying, proving, and in doing so, they became prisoners of other people's perceptions. They shaped their identity around what others said about them. They built their self-worth on external validation. And when that validation was withdrawn, They collapsed. This is the fate of the weak, not the poor, not the uneducated, the weak. Weakness is not about resources. Weakness is about emotional dependency. The person who needs approval is weak. The person who needs to be right is weak. The person who needs to win every argument is weak, because they are slaves to outcomes they cannot fully control. Strength is indifference to outcomes, not apathy. Indifference. The ability to act without being destroyed by the result. To speak without needing to be heard. To walk away without needing the last word. This is freedom. And freedom is terrifying. Because it requires you to stand alone. To trust your own judgment when the crowd disagrees. To believe in your own worth when no one else does. Most people cannot do this. They would rather be wrong with the group than right by themselves. This is why they stay at the bottom. Not because they lack intelligence, because they lack sovereignty. The final truth is this: the world will never stop testing you. It will never stop trying to categorize you, to place you in a box, to assign you a role. If you look poor, it will cast you as poor. If you react emotionally, it will cast you as unstable. If you seek approval, it will cast you as desperate. These roles are prisons, and the only way to escape them is to refuse to play. To stand still while the world demands movement. To remain silent while the world demands explanation. To walk forward while the world demands permission. This is not rebellion. This is self-respect. Power is not given. It is claimed. And it is claimed quietly, without announcement, without fanfare. The person who needs to declare their power does not have it. The person who needs to prove their worth does not possess it. True power is silent. It does not defend itself. It does not explain itself. It simply is. And when you reach that state, when you no longer need the world to confirm what you already know, you become untouchable. Not because you are stronger than everyone else, because you are free from the need for their validation. And that freedom is the only currency that matters. You are at the end of this reflection. Most people will close this window and return to their patterns. They will continue to signal weakness. They will continue to react emotionally. They will continue to hand power to anyone who asks for it. But you are not most people. You are here because you sensed something beneath the surface, something true, something dangerous. Do not let that sensing fade. Subscribe. Not because you owe me anything, because you owe yourself the reminder that you chose to see what others refuse to acknowledge. The world operates on perception, and perception is a game you can win if you refuse to play by their rules.